Hello everyone, my name is Andrew, and I wanted to discuss why people dislike Mass Effect. So I've divided it up into four categories. So one is romance, interactions, two is going to be the plot, three is going to be the gameplay, and four is going to be the graphics. Number four, the graphics. The graphics are a bit lacking from what we expected from the next installment of Mass Effect. Now, we could have gone all the way to the PC, put it all the way up from graphic wise. It still kind of looks very lackluster. The character models from time to time will actually glitch out during chat moments, and there's always that weird in between space that they have between other characters. See, a character is holding someone or like just trying to touch somebody. There's that weird open space that shouldn't be there, and it's so apparent in Yakuza and in this game that it just flat out annoys me. Oh my god. But other than that, on the plus side of things, the planets that you visit are absolutely beautiful. What they've done to it looks amazing, from just like deserts to forest to a darker looking planet. They all look absolutely amazing. The attention to detail is very nice. The fact that you could put footprints on a desert and have those footprints still there is absolutely amazing. The best part about this overall is the expression on the characters' faces. They actually look happy, sad, angry, frustrated, confused. It's absolutely amazing to see this outcome after so long from the Mass Effect series. Overall, I would say the graphics have a pretty satisfying feeling overall, minus the glitches from time to time. But if there's glitches, then you're absolutely playing Mass Effect. Speaking of glitches, we do have the gameplay. Now, the gameplay in general is very fun. It's very Mass Effect. The overall feeling of it, honestly, it feels less constrictive. It feels less stiff in this game than any other game that I've played. Overall, all the Mass Effect games can be a little bit stiff. This one's a lot less stiff. It's a lot more polished when it comes to that. But as far as this goes, there's also a big problem when putting too many ideas into one game. The fact is, you can research armor, research weapons, add fusions, then create the weapons in a whole different tab. And there are three different sections of three different species for these things. And it's too much. That's way too much, especially when you can find the guns or armor or weapons pretty much out in the land or from a merchant. So you add too much complexity to it already. Then you have AVP, which is basically like compounding, credits, getting materials, shipments from that stuff. So it helps, but it's also like it it's all right. It's just not as needed as you would assume. Then you also have the scouting missions where you can just send scouts to do certain missions, come back in a few hours, and see if you basically the mission was a success or mission was failed, and then you get credits or whatever. Honestly, that's okay. It's very much like Assassin's Creed esque, but that's fine. Um, I will say that one of the biggest glitches that I have encountered is in the main story, where I've accidentally clicked into the Nomad to return me to the ship, and then going back down, it actually locked me out of continuing the main story, which then I had to reload. But luckily, this game, unlike a lot of Mass Effect games, they don't add a lot of autosaves. This one adds quite a few autosaves plus manual saves that you can do. Because in other Mass Effect games, I've had to reload it because I've been locked out of main story missions. This one does it a little bit better in trying to deter that from happening. As far as other things go, side missions are very annoying. They're like top tier annoying. Some of them are absolutely worthless, like they're not worth your time doing. Some of them are actually quite memorable and actually bring a callback to Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3. But other than that, those few and some of the character missions that you can do are amazing. But the rest of the side missions, good God, they are the absolute god awful, horrendous side missions. They're not annoying, but they're just fetch missions. Like exactly like Borderlands and all that, there's too many side missions that are not memorable and therefore annoying to travel to, especially with so many load screens. It's ridiculous. But as far as everything else goes, the gameplay is fun. The fact that you can fully customize your character even in the middle of a gaming session is fantastic. The multiple terrains, the fact that the characters interact with each other when you're driving the car, a lot of different aspects, little details that they've done make up for some of the bigger issues that are in it. Overall, the gameplay is fun. It's just a pain in the ass to just transverse and deal with the side missions if you're gonna go 100 on it. So number two, the plot. I can see why people necessarily hate this aspect about it the most. The plot, I can honestly just say Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. That's essentially near where the plot is, or at least Mass Effect 2 is kind of near the plot line. It's it's very annoying because it's very much similar. A species wants to come over, assimilate, or destroy whatever species. Boom! It's very much the same. Uh, some of the points in the plot line are a bit confusing or just outright weird. The plot is definitely learn as you go. You're in a cryopod, you wake up, and then you have to kind of figure out what happened in these events. It's very annoying. It's super, super annoying, especially when you don't know what's happening. Therefore, you're not necessarily as invested as you should be. And the plot is, the starting point is very interesting. The species send, different species send a handful, and they just chuck them out into deep space in case the Reapers destroy everyone. That's a fantastic plot to go on. And then you kind of make it similar to Mass Effect 2 with the plot of, some evil being is trying to take over things. It tends to be a little annoying with that. As far as everything else, though, when it comes to the actual characters themselves of Ryder and Shepard, they're very polar opposites, and I can see why. It's kind of a split opinion on it. Um, Shepard is already like a leading commander. He's already done this several times. He has the confidence and the just the stability to back him up whenever he actually decides something. Ryder, on the other hand, is kind of just falls on her lap to be the leader, to be the pathfinder, because she has the plot device of an AI in her head. So that means she is the leader. She is the main character. It falls on her lap. She's stumbling to find her footing as a leader, what kind of leader she is, how she's going to do this leadership role. It's a very interesting process than just, here you go, he's a leader, he's a soldier. There you go. It's very interesting, especially the side plot with the Ryder family as a whole, of what the dad was keeping from everybody, the sick mother, what happens to her, and how it kind of opens up to a potential sequel to Mass Effect Andromeda 2 of what happens to the family after that. It sounds really amazing what they could do with that. But overall, I would say the main plot is very annoying. The subplots can be very good. That's the best way I can describe that. So, the number one thing people want to talk about and love so much is the romance. Now, the thing is, in this game, it can be split, but it also is kind of weirdly relatable in a sense. So, in the start of this, it's very much,
the most obvious problem is the
how do I
lack
say
of
this,
an observable
flexible, I guess.
population.
The
raises
way they
question,
talk is very
when
flexible,
is a
very
species
lack of
truly
personality, very
extinct?
non-caring
The
of what is
Prothean
happening in the
civilization spanned the
situation to an
galaxy,
extent.
and it took
And
centuries
it
to
feels like
confirm that
after
all members
completing
of the
certain
species
missions
really
or
had
over a
died
certain amount of
out.
time, they actually
While
start
it's
to care.
possible that
They start to
living
warm up.
Protheans
They
may
start
be
to actually
found in a
talk to
hidden
you
pocket of the
in a
galaxy
more
one day,
direct kind of way
the
that you would
chances
want
are
them to open up to
statistically
you.
trivial.
And
Once an extinction is
honestly,
confirmed,
that's very
the
relatable.
study's
That's
nature
how
moves from
getting to know someone
sociology
is
to
sometimes. It's very hard
exoarchaeology.
to get someone to actually care or respond the way you want them to respond. It's very much relatable in that sense because some people just, it takes time for them to warm up to you in that way. So I completely understand in that sense. Um, I do hate the fact that there's so many side missions and there's no extra conversational tree every time you complete, let's say, 3 side missions, 4 side missions. Because you're stuck doing so many of them, you might as well open up some tree branches while you're doing them to make it more interesting. Now, in other terms of actual interaction, getting to know them better, they do a fantastic job of just having these minor things, like having them send emails to you, having them talk to other characters in a car ride, doing character missions, chatting with them for some time. There's so many ways to actually contact them, and it feels very interesting and actually engaging. In other circumstances, I feel like in Mass Effect 2, there was like maybe 1 email or 2 email you would get from like actual characters in the game, and that's it. You don't really get an extensive personality out of it. In this one, you do. You actually get a lot of interactions that you wouldn't normally get. As far as like flirting and actually romancing people, some of them can take a very long time, and it's one of those things. It takes a very long time, but in the wrong sense. Like, you don't get many chances to flirt with certain characters. You have these minor moments that you can flirt with them, and that's it. That's very annoying to me. But other than that, the these sex scenes or romance scenes in general are very nice. Actually, they're a lot better. They have a whole entire section where they're just talking first, and you kind of feel the mood warm up to it instead of just it happening. It's very nice. It's very, I don't know. It's a nicer feeling that you feel more connected to the actual character in these conversations that happen before the sexing even happens. It's very nice. The fact that they've worked hard to do some of the actual sex scenes or some of the connection scenes, like with PB, it's absolutely amazing what they did. It really feels like it's connected on a whole different level. That's what I love about this game, is that they really put in effort on some of these characters of how the interaction goes necessarily. So I very much love it. Overall, it's definitely more relatable in a realistic sense of trying to get to know someone better. They're having all these little side conversations. There's emails that show better personality necessarily at first, just like how people are nowadays. So overall, I would say the romance is actually a lot better in this game than it has been in other games. So Andromeda, it's an actual nice spin-off that gets way too much hate for no reason, and it becomes the Metal Gear Solid Rising of the franchise, where it's going to be locked away. No one's really going to talk about it anymore, and they're never going to make a sequel of it, even though there has been hints in the game that there should be a sequel. The characters do take up a bit of time to warm up to, but that's very relatable under just normal circumstances slash just getting to know somebody in these kind of environments. The graphics are a mixture of, a beautiful kind of scenery and a little bit of a glitchy mess, but it's Mass Effect. That's to be expected. The overall gameplay is fun. It's just, there's just some minor inconveniences in the game that just flat out annoy you. This game has issues, but what game doesn't have issues? It shouldn't be shooed away. It shouldn't be locked in a closet and never to be heard of again. It should be its own series that's going in its own direction now. It's definitely heard some criticism, heard some love. The creators should pretty much figure out what they have seen, what the feedback was, and now they can make this new spin-off for Andromeda and knock it straight out of the park. If you have any thoughts and feelings about it, please leave a comment down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and basically tell me what your thoughts of Mass Effect Andromeda are. I hope your day is as awesome as you are, and I will see you in the next video.